Oh my God, an insane goal! I've just seen the most insane goal I have ever seen.
Well, this puts us with some unbelievable finishes in European competition over the years.
हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ ओवर द लाइन पॉडकास्ट सीरीज। मेरे साथ मौजूद है शाहरुख, जो कि मेरे को होस्ट हैं आज के लिए, और हमारे पास एक बहुत भारी भरकम किस्म का पैनल आज मौजूद है। वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट इंग्लिश प्रीमियर लीग एंड वी हैव ट्राइड आवर बेस्ट टू गेट रिप्रेजेंटेशन फ्रॉम ऑल मेजर टीम्स। हमारे पास अहमद बाबर हैं, जो मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड फैन है। ही विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट देयर स्टफ, देयर परफॉर्मेंस एंड देयर प्लेयर सो फार। इसके बाद हमारे पास शाहजहां दोबारा रिज्वाइन कर रहे हैं और आदिल हमें रिज्वाइन कर रहे हैं। ये हमारे पहले भी शोज पे आ चुके हैं, जहां पे हमने लिवरपूल के हवाले से बात की थी। हमारे साथ जमशेद मौजूद हैं। जमशेद हमें बताएंगे कि चेल्सी जो सरप्राइज पैकेज रहा है एटलीस्ट मेरे लिए, और अब उनका जो है वो क्या बन रहा है नेक्स्ट सीजन के लिए। आई एम बहुत एक्साइटेड हूँ उनको लेके, and I really hope they make it to Champions League. I think it will be a great addition. And finally, we have Usman with us. Usman जो है वो Tottenham के fan है, and he'll be talking about what Mourinho has been up to in the English Premier League. So first of all, welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
जिस तरह सबको पता है कि कल रात को है लिवरपूल की पार्टी थी। They beat Chelsea 5-3 and they finally lifted the trophy. So हम स्टार्ट वहीं से अगर करते हैं, शाहजहां और आदिल, how did it go?
We had this conversation last time around as well, and जैसे आपने और शाहरुख ने last time कहा था कि it won't really hit you until we see the trophy presentation, and जब team आपको trophy मिलेगी तब it'll sink in the feeling. तो उस तरीके से yes, now I feel like a champion. I think Adil can also relate to the sentiments. The only sorry.
Please go ahead.
The only thing was, and again, this is nitpicking, the way the Liverpool base is, the fan base is, it would have been amazing. And I can't even imagine what the scenes would have been like if the fans were there in the stadium. But again, that's the only sour touch, but nothing can be taken away from the team, the way they performed. And to be honest, the trophy presentation itself, given the circumstances, was pretty great, pretty outstanding. तो उस हवाले से, and the game itself, जमशेद को मुझे पता अच्छा नहीं लगा होगा, but the game itself was amazing. 5-3, it kind of was like a throwback to the early days of Klopp. Defense जो थी थोड़ी सी हमारी wobbly थी, but that has been the case since the return, हमारी जो restart of the EPL हुआ है. But other than that, attacking wise, Liverpool was amazing, outstanding. We could have scored 7-8. We could have conceded 4-5 as well. So I think it was pretty much probably the perfect way of celebrating, because I think clean sheet के साथ celebrate करते ठीक है, वो एक और aura आता. But the 5-3 वाला semi ping pong game जो चली थी, it just added to the excitement level, and players का जो relief and excitement थी that was visible. So yeah, over the moon about it.
I think Alisson and Van Dijk have been hungover for the last couple of weeks.
I swear.
Yeah.
Even during the post-match celebration, Sadio Mane was on a different planet. I remember Henderson was lifting the trophy. I don't know, Sadio was looking at his phone. I don't know, New Balance is giving him a new deal. पता नहीं क्या था, वो ऊपर देख भी नहीं रहा था. He was out of it. I have no idea Sadio Mane क्या कर रहा था.
Live stream की है. Genie and Sadio ने पूरी live stream की है.
Yeah, Ginny's live was awesome. Yeah. Really, it was really fun. It was really good to see. And again, however, Shahjahan is like, in regards to the celebration, yeah, I still felt a bit weird, especially watching us win the Premier League, because I come from a family that supports football, right? With my Taya, who supported Liverpool for 70 years, my brothers, my mom, a lot of us, we are a footballing family, right? More or less. But again, when I was sitting with my brother, he was like, he's a United supporter, right? Yeah, man, now he was like, now you see what we've been seeing over the last 10 years. I was like, yeah, man, like I have no clue how I feel, because he was like, yeah, man, Ferguson made us, helped us get this on a literally yearly basis. I was like, yeah, man, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it feels good to see us win. So yeah, it was definitely, and it was fun, man. Like these players, this group of players, this manager who I thought was just like a powerhouse of emotion, and still a good one. Because in my personal opinion, I and this is a very personal perspective, that for in my eyes, Pep Guardiola is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest managers that I have ever gotten to witness. What he's done with money, I get it, but what the brand of football he's taken to three countries and still managed to create such insane memories, 100-point totals, champions, 5 to 6 titles in a single year with Barcelona. The kind of things that he's done. Jurgen Klopp has come here, and he's made it about himself. He's made it about this club, and this club especially that hasn't won it for all this time. So that's a pretty special feeling, to experience as a footballing fan.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. So इसके साथ ही जमशेद पे अगर हम आए with Chelsea, exciting season for Chelsea, right? Not many people expected them to do so well, but still it's gone down to the last game now. Let's see what happens. But you must be happy overall with the way they've performed.
I'm way more than happy, to be honest. इस season की expectation जो मेरी शुरू में थी, I was like यार 8 आ जाए बड़ी बात होगी. लेकिन as the season progressed, I was like, okay, we can achieve Champions League football. And now it's back. Now it's the last game. So defensive tactics of Lampard is quite questionable, but overall Lampard has been a brilliant manager right now, given the team.
Defensive tactics होंगे या defensive जो players आपके पास हैं उनके बारे में कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
I'm saying defensive tactics क्योंकि derby में भी काफी इसने गोल concede किए हैं. So Lampard will have to work over there. कि अगर अच्छे players भी आ जाते हैं तो उसके defensive tactics change होते हैं या नहीं? क्योंकि when they play pressing football, आपकी अब लिवरपूल की pressing football अगर देखो उनकी mid खाली नहीं होती उस तरह जितना चेल्सी की mid खाली हो जाती है जब वो pressing football खेल रहे होते हैं. So Lampard really needs to work out कि ये mid किस तरह, where to fill the gaps when they are pressing. Other than that, the young players, Tomori, Mount, Ibrahim, first part of the season, really good. Really good. Like, I could see a future Chelsea team who are passionate about the club, who are passionate about the badge. और आगे से signings इस तरह की आ रही हैं. Most probably Havertz will be there. Werner तो आ गया है. Ziyech आ गया है. And last night you saw what Pulisic can do. And he has been doing post-COVID. So really exciting to see what's going to happen next season with these signings. I just hope कि एक अच्छा goalkeeper ले लें. Disappointingly, Kepa के अगर ऊपर बात करें तो I think his confidence is low due to also defense. I have been a keeper, so I know how low a person can get when his defense is not good. So if the defense is good, the keeper will be good. Or yeah, Liverpool is a perfect example for this. Okay, how they have developed since Klopp started, और अब क्या बन गई है Liverpool. So yeah,
I was reading a stat somewhere that Courtois has the highest percentage of shots saved in Europe in the top 5 leagues, and Kepa has the lowest percentage. It's in the 50s. So yeah, that's one thing that definitely needs to be sorted out for Chelsea. और काफी exciting attacking players तो आ रहे हैं, but defense के ऊपर लगता है कोई focus नहीं है, तो काफी ज़्यादा scores फिर 5-3 type आपको अगले साल भी मिलेंगे. As neutrals, I would love that, but I'm not so sure Chelsea fans will enjoy it as much.
मुझे तो लग रहा है इब्राहिमोविच साहब के पास बहुत पैसे हैं अभी के आराम से सेंटर बैक भी लेने की कोशिश करेगा और लेफ्ट बैक भी लेने की कोशिश करेगा because we need these two. केपा का what I predict is कि कोई एक्सचेंज होगा किसी क्लब के साथ कि थोड़े से पैसे ले लो या कीपर दे दो या सेकंड कीपर ऐसा ले, डीन हेंडरसन टाइप कोई सेकंड कीपर ले कि कोई बैकअप कीपर अच्छा हो माना हो. So let's see what next season does for us. But I'm really excited for next season.
Last match की क्या expectation है आपकी?
Last match की expectation दूसरी टीम के मुताबिक भी बताऊं यानी जो हमसे compete कर रही हैं या सिर्फ Wolves मैच की बताऊं?
Wolves की बताएं अभी क्योंकि अगर Wolves I think नहीं जीतते और Tottenham जीत जाते तो I think वो यूरोपा के लिए क्वालिफाई कर जाते हैं. Lot at stake right now.
Yeah, so I guess draw कर लें क्योंकि Wolves been brilliant. इनका डाउन आया था जिसके अंदर हमने Wolves को इनके होम पे 2-5 हराया था, लेकिन पोस्ट कोविड Wolves been brilliant. और पोस्ट कोविड भी नहीं, ओवरऑल फुटबॉल देखें Wolves की फुटबॉल, हिमेनेज, जोटा वगैरह सारे बहुत अच्छे प्लेयर्स हैं. फिर द मेन थ्रेट फॉर अस विल बी ट्रोरे क्योंकि उसकी स्पीड हमारे डिफेंस नहीं पकड़ सकती. So my expectation is winning by a goal or a draw.
ठीक है. अब हम इसी पे साथ, क्योंकि हम स्पर्स की बात कर ही रहे हैं, तो अगर हम बात करें उस्मान से, उस्मान इस टाइम आप देखें टॉटनहम जो है वो 7th पे है एंड दे स्टिल हैव अ चांस कि वो यूरोपा के लिए क्वालिफाई कर सकते हैं, गिवन अगर वुल्व्स हार जाते हैं और टॉटनहम अपना आखिरी मैच जीत जाती है क्रिस्टल पैलेस से. बट उसके साथ साथ व्हाट डू यू थिंक, हाउ हैज द सीजन बीन सो फार, स्पेशली विद जोसे मोरिन्यो एट हेल्म?
To be honest, I'm not too keen on the Europa League. I think this is a team that's been pretty tired since the 2018 World Cup. And then you sort of couple that summer in 2018 with like Tottenham having the most players in the World Cup semi-finals, and then obviously the final and third place playoff. With the fact that that was the one summer Tottenham chose not to spend any money on any players and on refreshing the team. And you have like an incredibly tired group of players. You have a striker who's basically not only primarily the best player in the team, but somebody who, because there's no backup in the squad for him, who's kind of been run into the ground. So I actually think a break from Europe now would actually benefit the team. Not really bothered what happens on the last game. It's been a pretty awful season. Like, I shouldn't really be saying this as a Spurs fan, but I would love it for Arsenal to win the FA Cup so that we don't qualify for the Europa League. That for me would be an ideal scenario. Like, I read the Thursday night, Sunday routine. Yeah, people like other clubs play in the Champions League, they play Wednesday to Saturday, but the Thursday, Sunday thing, players have actually written about how it affects them. Phil Neville wrote this brilliant article a few years ago about how it's draining to play on a Sunday because you don't get like a proper weekend as a player. You don't play that Saturday night game and then go out to a club or something to relax, have a drink with your mates, because nobody's doing that on a Sunday. And so psychologically, the Europa League schedule, it just takes, also like because the Champions League is quite a close club, you don't have sort of many traveling distances. You're often traveling to like countries like Italy and stuff, which are nearby. With the Europa League, you're going to places like Azerbaijan, to like cities like Belgrade and stuff. So you have, a far more difficult travel schedule. Just that psychological toll of playing on Sundays. And I really think that this club could do with a break from that. I know Mourinho wants the Europa League, and that also bothers me because, like, I feel like he might just forfeit the league to go for Europa, like he did in his first season at United, if he feels things are going wrong. And I don't, given the past couple of seasons, you really don't know how the club is going to invest. We've got a pretty thin squad. It looks like we have a lot of players there now who kind of beyond their best. It's quite an aging squad now. Like someone like, these guys, you kind of think they should be hitting their peak years, but like Lamela's never peaked. So for me, like 28, 29 is where, like, this is his sort of downward spiral. There's a lot of players who flatter to deceive, like Maura. I think he's still living off his exploits in Amsterdam. And then our defense, like Alderweireld's pretty old. Ben Davis is kind of injury prone. You've got a lot of injury prone players as well. So I would just like a regular. We're not going to get Champions League, which is kind of backfired on the club massively, because now with COVID and the fact that the stadiums are filling up and then no Champions League money, just the most Spursy thing. Right before the pandemic, this century. You can't. there's not really much of a financial help. The group win is like what, £190,000 or euros. That's not going to help the club. So I don't really care what happens on the weekend. I just want a non.
Usman, I agree with you what you're saying about the Thursday Sunday schedule being quite grueling on the players. I mean, Liverpool has also witnessed that, and I'm sure Emma can talk about how that affected Manchester United. But like you mentioned, Mourinho does have a knack of picking up trophies, and he does do very well in knockout competitions. So I know it's a trade-off because you would have to potentially sacrifice your league position next year if you focus on the Europa League. But on the flip side, you might actually win a European trophy, something that Arsenal has.
Yeah, I get all that, but I feel
finally
that
win any trophy.
I also feel like that Mourinho's a master of making excuses, and the Europa League's going to give him an out. And we need to see how Mourinho's going to do with his preseason, with the players he wants. I didn't want Poch to go, to be honest. I think he'd done enough to earn a chance to build another team. I always wanted Mourinho to come in if Poch ever went, simply because he's a winner. But so far, the football's been horrible. It's been dull to watch. Mourinho's already started being second season Mourinho, so God knows what's going to happen next year. And I feel like that I just don't want him to have that excuse of having Europe. The thing is, we're a club that runs on sustainability, right? We don't have a sugar. We do have a sugar daddy owner, but he doesn't put money into the club. So we're a club that runs on sustainability, and just finishing a couple of positions higher in the league will get us far more money than winning the Europa League will. So,
but don't you think that given how Mourinho works,
not really going to benefit the club?
Carry on first.
Ahmed, you were saying something.
I was saying that, don't you think that given how Mourinho works, if he has no European football at the club, he will lose more in trust, and he will be that much harder on the team, and he will feel that I have an excuse of a place because I have a team which is a loser team, but they did not get the even European qualification, and he'll feel stuck there, and he will probably try to either get fired and get that remuneration package as well, so that he can just take that and go to some other club. And he will be like that because we have experienced him in that mode, where when he hasn't gotten what he wanted, he just turns into a different being altogether.
Yeah, the thing is, again, Mourinho's which Mourinho are we talking about? Are we talking about the United Mourinho, the Inter Milan Mourinho, the Chelsea Mourinho? Let's be honest, right? The guy's a bit of a chameleon. And I also feel he's more prone to throwing out his sort of toys out of the pram when he doesn't get his transfer dealings, as opposed to other stuff, which is going to be super interesting because I just don't see where Spurs are going to accommodate him in the transfer market. I mean, it's obvious we need a right back. It's obviously we need a backup to Kane. I really, really like the right back at Atalanta, and he's got I think a 25 million euro release.
Is that Gosens, the Belgian? The German, I think. Is that Gosens?
Castagne. He's the Belgian.
Oh, Castagne. Yeah. I've been following Atlanta a lot. They've been phenomenal this year. Absolutely stunning.
He wants Milik for the backup, and I didn't see it happening because Milik seems to have a hard set on Juventus. And two, I don't actually rate him that much as a player. So it's me, Mourinho's make or break is how Tottenham actually now spend the transfer window.
But don't you think that Mourinho without European football will not be...
and bringing in the right players.
Don't you feel that Mourinho without any money will not be that attractive for players to want to sign for Tottenham? Because when he had Europa League and at United, he got Pogba and other big names to come in. He got Abramovich to come in because he had some sort of European football to back him up, and that ultimate goal of winning Europa League and getting back into Champions League. Because next year, we'll I think all come back to that later. The top four will be even more difficult to get to, given that now City's ban has
The
been
thing
lifted.
is, like, those players you're mentioning, Pogba and those kind of players, Spurs have never been in the market for those kind of players. Like, even when in the 4 or 5 seasons we've been qualifying for the Champions League, that elite level of player, who have we signed since we've been in the Champions League? Like, the big names, Sanchez. I mean, Sanchez was like a really big name, and Dombele. But these are like kind of unproven players. We're never going to be in that kind of market. So I don't think that's going to like have. I think irrespective of whether Spurs are in Europe or not, I think the club have a certain way of doing transfers, and the fact that we pay less wages than Everton and Newcastle just really tells you everything about how the club operates and sort of what kind of players are going to be coming to Tottenham anyway. So yeah, I mean, there are certain players I would have liked to join. There's this guy, the Lille striker, but he seems to have gone to be going to Napoli from reports today. He's somebody I was sort of really interested in for the club. But yeah, I think the big problem Tottenham have is that they refuse to spend money, which is fine because if they can't afford to, that's okay. But then they don't have another model. They don't have like a Leicester City they don't have like a Leicester City kind of scouting model. They don't have a youth setup like Southampton. We really just are running on the whims of the chairman. And like Daniel Levy, I mean, the guy's an absolute genius, right? You have like the manager asking for Moutinho, and he'll be like, you know what, I can't get you Moutinho, but there's some random French player who's only available for like 5.5 million. He's a midfielder, plays in a completely different style, but he's cheap, so that's, why not buy him? And it's like every single manager we've had in the ENIC era have made this campaign. Like for me, the classic Daniel Levy was like when we were after this defender at Villarreal. I've kind of forgotten his name, but he's at AC Milan now. And this was Poch's first season, and Poch likes to play a high line. And Daniel Levy was like, well, you know what? There's this big lumbering centre-back at Sevilla. The ball, that's all, but he's only 3 million. Let's go buy him. And it's that was just such a classic Tottenham transfer. And I'm going to be really interested to see how it was like, because it would signal to me that maybe the club wants to operate differently now. But let's see. It's really difficult to say.
Okay, that was quite an insightful and engaging discussion on Tottenham. Extensive discussion. A perfect addition to the show. But before we move forward, we'll move to Ahmed now, and we'll be talking about Manchester United season. क्या expectations थी, क्या eventually हुआ, and अभी क्या plan है last match में?
All right. Expectations this year, honestly, when we started off, I was looking at number 5, number 6 in the table. And we would probably end up there. And that was more solidified in December when we were, I think, 14 points off Leicester.
Yeah.
So looked pretty gloomy at that time. But luckily we got Fernandez and Pogba back. And the only good thing that I consider about the coronavirus break was that we got Rashford fit and running. But because then we saw the impact they had, we had the 19 games unbeaten run across the board. But when we saw what happened at Southampton, how lethargic the players had gotten because they were being played again and again and again. So we can see that there really isn't any other option. And I was discussing with someone on Twitter yesterday as well, and I said that if I was in Solskjaer's place, I would play the same 11 for 90 minutes every week. We don't have a backup team, not even backup 5 players, let alone a backup 11 to go to, either for cup competitions or anything else. And luckily, Europa League is not happening right now. It's in August, so we have that again break that others have mentioned the impact that comes with playing Thursday on Sunday or Monday, and then again playing Thursday. So we had that cushion with us, so that has also helped the team recoup to some extent. Because flying 4,000 miles for a game and then coming back and traveling 400 miles by train again is very tiresome for players. And as far as the last game is, I think we are going to get the win at least because now Leicester's was in Leicester's court. They have to come at us. And as we saw with the other big six teams, that United plays really well on the counter, and when Leicester is going to push them, and they are going to have the a really good opportunity. And I personally feel that Solskjaer knew that this is going to happen, and that's why he was more content with the draw against West Ham. The team did not apparently look like they were putting in the effort, but I think they were trying to keep themselves on reserve and just refueling along the match, just doing enough to get the point, get to third in the table, and see what happens. But we were all expecting Chelsea to lose to Liverpool, because again, the home party scene, Liverpool was not going to let it go on a sour note. So, and yeah, that is going to happen. Yeah.
So, as a United fan, how does it feel to see Liverpool win the trophy?
Oh man, I'm not watching the celebration. I haven't still watched the 2012 celebration of Chelsea City. That's still picture, so you can imagine how much longer this is going to hurt for.
We'll share the links.
I'm going to blog them.
I think because Ahmed की जो बात है, that makes a lot of sense in the sense कि मतलब United जिस तरह during Ferguson's time ना, something that I spoke in the last episode as well, in which I was in, was कि United, a club like United has become so commercial, especially under Ferguson. They've gone so big. They have so many fans all over the world. I read a stat about पता नहीं कितनी population दुनिया की is a Man United fan. So
I think we have about 1.4 billion fans across the board,
which is like 1/8 of the entire world, man. That is like huge, right? So in that regard, when City won that Aguero wala jo goal tha, I swear to God, it wasn't just Liverpool or Chelsea fan. It was like everybody. Like I remember guys, I genuinely remember people who had their ringtones as call aati thi. Ek dost mera Sami tha, call aati thi, Aguero! I was like, yaar, kya ho gaya yaar tumhe, kya ho gaya? I can relate to a United fan at this stage because it was something that was different, Mancini, and would be last game. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Last game, and we finished our season on top of the table. Those extra 30-40 seconds is what changed them.
Yeah, exactly. When it was something very like last moments, definitely.
And we all talk about Fergie time, but if you see in big moments recently, United ulta hi pada hai. Especially in crucial moments, I shouldn't say big moments. We saw against Tottenham, Williams got injured, down 10 men, added time, 96 minutes upar chale gaye. We got a goal scored against us. Similarly,
please go on.
Similarly, yesterday against West Ham as well. West Ham and Chelsea against in the FA Cup semi-final. Who was the player who got injured? Bai didn't get injured and right before halftime. Well, now 11 minute add now, the goal wouldn't have been scored because the team was in a completely different focus. So that also shows that also shows how tired the team is because small things are rattling them right now. Normally, you see, Ferguson in the City match when Van Persie scored that free kick in the 94th minute. Ferguson was bleeding and throughout that match, and he came out with a statement afterwards that the reason I bled was to show that what the true color of Manchester is, it's red. But right now, the players are getting rattled very easily. Again, they're too tired out.
I just don't get, sometimes I, like, in terms of United, like, under Solskjaer and after post Fergie as well, like, some of the signings that really just confuse me. I get, okay, Aaron Van Bissaka made a lot of sense that that's a top defender you have, Harry Maguire, a top player. You get that. But I just don't get how over, I think 4 years now, Luke Shaw ka koi at least decent competition. What? Luke Shaw ko competition kyun nahi de rahe? That guy was injured for, I think, a year and a half great fullback on his day when he's fit, but that guy needs a bit of competition, and it took one game week for him and Brandon Williams both to just get injured. Like, I just sometimes feel Man United need a better
Yeah, the
person,
thing is, na,
like
left
in
backs
terms
don't
of
sell shirts.
What?
Left backs don't sell shirts.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what that is. I genuinely
So
don't
with
know
Ed Woodward there, so that is going to happen because if आप ये देख लो ना, his statement still haunts me. We can make a lot of money no matter what we do on the pitch.
Oh, he said that.
He said that in directors उसमें क्या कहते हैं conference, shareholders conference.
That's insane.
So,
that is insane.
And वो देखो, when we lost out on Champions League about 3 years ago, the next week उसमें 4 commercial deals आपकी announce की, they made up the money.
Yeah, definitely, United does have a lot of revenue coming in. I've read some of the stats. That is incredible.
So they have that coming in, and आप वो देख लो, Falcao they went for paid a lot of money. Alexis Sanchez is still paying some of his wages. So they were all made not for the performance, but more like आएंगे shirts बिकेंगी, we'll make the money of the transfer fee back, and then we will see what happens.
I have a small question, Ahmed, as a United fan. Just sure. Like आपने I imagine पूरा season देखा होगा, right? How it's gone for you. Just a small comparison, ठीक है? I would like, अगर आप मुझे बताएं, what do you think about Harry Maguire coming to United and then Chris Smalling going to Roma? Do you have any views on that? What do you feel about these two moves? If you can connect them somehow.
Yeah, I'm happy that Maguire came, because even when he makes mistakes, he still carries the team. He has that presence there. Smalling was making so many mistakes that no one, and over the years he has also done that he had lost that. He doesn't have the persona of being the leader of the back four. Maguire does. That's the reason he got the captain's armband as well. So absolutely. Smalling, yeah, he performed well in Roma. One reason was a kick in the butt. उठा के भाई कुछ करना है, like the red card against City, under Van Gaal. That really rattled him. He came back after 3 games. He had a phenomenal season. So definitely. If he doesn't get that, Smalling gets lethargic, or he wouldn't track back. He wouldn't man mark properly. So and plus Serie A can't really be compared with Premier League. It's a completely different ball game. The intensity and the pace of the Premier League is much more. And Smalling right now, with his relatively older legs, he's younger than me, but his relatively older legs, he can't really keep that up with that.
And Ahmed, what's your take on Ole? Because I know is puri conversation more or less, except for Adil and myself, everyone has had Mourinho as their manager. But I honestly, and Adil can also testify to this, that Liverpool probably has the most to hate on Mourinho, because we've had a very long and bitter history with him. But I still think usko thodi si bad rep mili thi. Yes, Mourinho did get a lot of money to spend on. That's true. Lekin he kept crying for defenders. He kept crying for a right back. Kept crying for a centre back. And eventually, Ole ko next season million. We know what a big difference. Even though Maguire ko, I know, and Adil can I think was alluding to the fact that was इतना महंगा खरीदा था आप लोगों ने, तो does it really justify the price tag? So, and that's not Maguire's fault. The market ऐसी थी. But I think Maguire has been a huge upgrade. And similarly, Van Bissaka, ठीक है, he's nowhere near the level of Trent. I don't know why social media लोग कहते हैं, but he's a very good defender.
Yeah, Trent is nowhere near. He's much higher.
But and then you've seen the Bruno का effect जो है team के साथ, which is 3 आपकी spine की आपने जो है changes की हैं. You have 2 defenders, you have a very good midfielder, and it's made an improvement. So I just think Mourinho के साथ जो था, I mean, yes, we know his attitude, his demeanor, and the fact that last year जो था वो लग रहा था कि जैसे उसको किसी ने gun point पर उठाकर press conferences करवा रहे हैं, because it didn't seem like he's interested, but he did have a point where it came to not backing him up in the transfer market. तो ओले का आपका अगर comparison उसके तरीके से करें तो do you really see an improvement? Because Rashford वगैरह जो हैं वो Mourinho ने भी उनको लेकर आए थे, उससे पहले भी आ रहे थे, तो it would have been obvious that another 2 years, 3 years, they would have improved as players. I don't know personally. Looking from the outside, I don't know how much credit we can give Ole. I mean, obviously he's the manager and वो कुछ तो काम कर रहा होगा. But you know, lots of pundits have said, "Oh, Ole has transformed the team. Look at Rashford. Look at Greenwood." I think these players were already, you know, on the path towards becoming really good players.
Yeah,
Greenwood
they were on the path, but ultimately someone has to hold their hand and guide them through. Mourinho, given the fact that he was never really a player, he lacked that. With Ole, when he came in, and especially saw that in the first hot weather training they went to Dubai for, you could see how the players, Rashford, Greenwood, Lingard, and all those who had come through the academy and were United fanboys growing up, they always resonated with Ole and what he stood and meant for United. And they could actually see him. And Ole being a striker and someone who had to prove himself, because if you go through what he went and the faith Ferguson put into him and the struggles he had at the beginning and how he then came in and made a place for himself, then his injury and how he coped and transformed himself through that. So they could see a success story in him. And they had that role model going on and someone who could actually understand what it means to wear the United shirt and the pressure it brings onto him. So that's why when we talk about the young players and how, especially the attackers, and how Ole has transformed them, that because we can actually see the fact Mourinho would not have done that. No other manager probably would have been able to do it in the same manner. The reason Zidane was so successful at Real Madrid again was because the players around him, he had played with, some he could actually see what he had done for the club they are playing for now. And the fans were also backing him in that aspect. So the manager also gets an extra added benefit from the management and from the fan base. So then they can actually try more. They have more leeway of making mistakes. Ole has gotten that leeway. After the Paris game, there was a dip. People thought that he would be fired, Pochettino would come in. But you saw that confidence given to him. And when you give that confidence to a manager, the manager also picks the team up and goes ahead. And when you talk about why Mourinho did not get Maguire earlier, one of the reasons for that is that United had already spent a lot of money before that. With Moyes, they overpaid. With Van Gaal, they overpaid. With Mourinho, they had overpaid and were overpaying quite a lot. So the club also had to see that what is happening. Each player that was being brought in was being brought in at high cost for short-term fixes. Mourinho, why he has gotten that? Because let's see the signings he made. Daniel James, long-term. He got Van Bissaka, young, energetic, long-term. He has gotten Maguire, partially experienced but long-term. Bruno Fernandez, not that old, already a success story at Sporting and as well as winning the Nations League or something, and the Euros.
Yeah. He won the Euros with Portugal.
So another player who knows what it means to win. So that's why he was getting those players. So Ole, yes, I know he has his managerial drawbacks. He is still learning. And I read this comment yesterday and made a lot of sense to me. Was he probably, let's say, if United go and get Pochettino for next season or the season after that, they should bring Ole as director of finance because his understanding of the young players and which transfers to go for is really excellent. And he would be an excellent fit for that role.
Yeah, I think we'll move to the next part of the show, and that is we're going to talk about the best players, respective teams के, and I think उसके साथ ही हम round off भी करते हैं कि next season में क्या expectation इसी team के साथ और कहाँ पे additions आ सकते हैं. So I think Jamshed, if you could tell us about the best players at Chelsea this season.
The best player or players? I would say the best player at Chelsea is Kovacic for this season. That guy went beyond expectation and best signing of the season for us. He did everything. I didn't even know he defended that good, but he also defended that good. He did the donkey work, to be honest. आगे भागता था, पीछे भागता था, आगे भागता था, पीछे भागता था, सारा कुछ करता था. Unfortunately,
backup Kante.
Yeah, he was a backup Kante, to be honest. But unfortunately, it's good player. Like even if you see the last season when he was with Hazard, उन दोनों की combination बहुत अच्छी थी. Like they used to understand each other so much कि 1-2 करके जा रहे हैं. Kovacic Hazard को ball दे रहा है. So Kovacic is was an outstanding player for me this season. And if I talk about young player of the season for my team, uh, Mount.
Mount.
There's no challenge to that. Like Mount performed another Kovacic type player, but more attacking. He used to press a lot. लैम्पार्ड ने उसे पूरा सीजन किसी वजह से ही खिलाया था. शुरू में ताने पड़े थे, मोरिनियो ने ताने दिए थे कि माउंट को क्यों खिला रहा है ये, ही इज नॉट दैट गुड वगैरह वगैरह. बट लैम्पार्ड शोड दैट Mount can be a top player in the future. Right now, he's one of the best players at Chelsea. Soon he can be the best player at Chelsea. Okay, he's amazing. He just needs experience. He's really good. So that's
One
about
thing, one thing I would just really like to say about like Mateo Kovacic is that for me, I always thought that he was like a player right in the middle of the park, someone that holds up play, links up different attacking movements right to the wingers, maybe to the forward line. He would help distribute the ball. But I had no idea that guy had such an engine on him. I swear the guy runs back and forth throughout the entire match and has probably the best dribbling skills this season I've seen in the Premier League. The guy just moves past you and then plays in a dangerous pass. And Jesse, if that pass goes wrong, he's back already, providing cover. That was something that I had no idea Kovacic could do. I've been a supporter of Kovacic because Coutinho came from Inter Milan, so I had an eye on Kovacic, who was also initially at Inter. So I never had this idea that the engine on him, the lungs on him, were so fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was supposed to replace Modric at Madrid, but unfortunately, उसका playing time काफी reduce हुआ था. Couldn't get enough game time over there. But he's a brilliant ball carrier and, like you said, terrific dribbler as well, box to box midfielder. So it was kind of a loss to see him go. But we have a good replacement in Valverde. I can't complain much. I think Valverde might even surpass him.
What
he's doing wonders.
That guy is.
Kovacic is doing wonders for Chelsea, and I think he's going to have a number of good years with them.
ठीक है. Now we'll go to Ahmed. Ahmed has to leave early. So Ahmed, आप बताएं मैनचेस्टर में कौन से बेस्ट प्लेयर्स रहे आपके, and next season में आप क्या देखना चाहेंगे addition?
Yeah, best players, I would divide it in two parts. The overall season has to go to Rashford because of how he stepped up and throughout the season before even Martial got better, and he took up the responsibility of the main striker. And after the January transfer window, it has to be Bruno Fernandez because that guy really transformed the whole team. The energy he brought in and how he pushed everyone else to elevate their own game and to be better versions of themselves was really visible. And the young player, I think anyone has any doubts, I think probably in the league as well has to go to Mason Greenwood. Already the most goals scored for United at the young age. I think he has 17 goals, and Premier League he has 10 goals already. And we can actually see the kind of talent he is and how much the defenders and goalkeepers are dreading him with his 2 feet. And that is even going to get better over time. Because I was watching this video analysis, I think Tifo Football did on Mason Greenwood. I would recommend everyone to have that look at that video. I will send the link to Hamad. So in that they really explained of why, though he has only scored only about 20% of his goals with his right foot, but given how well he strikes it with his right, how difficult it is to defend him and other players like him. So that really puts him on a different pedestal right now. And the good thing about him, he's very humble. He's down to earth and he's willing to put the hard work in. We all know what happened with Anand Januzaj and how he got this 11 number jersey, and we all thought that he's going to be good. And there was this guy in Lahore in Gulberg who had United legend Januzaj number 11 printed on his car. Lahore. I have his picture somewhere. A bit too ambitious, but yeah, Januzaj let it go to his head, and he lost out.
काफी अच्छा attacking trident बन गया अब तो with Rashford, Martial, Greenwood.
And if Sancho comes in, we're coming for the league.
Wow. Famous last words.
We have to. It's United, man. Come on, after. Especially, to be very honest. I hate myself for admitting and saying it that after last year, I wanted Liverpool to win this year. When I saw that United didn't have the squad strong enough to win the league, I wanted Liverpool to win it so that it really gives a kicks in the butt to the management and just make them get the right signings in. And I really hope we get Champions League next season so that we can attract the right kind of players and be back to where we are supposed to be and go for number 21. Which, by the way, I have on the back of my shirt as well.
All right.
Yep. Best player?
Best player and best young player for Tottenham over the season?
The best player could be the Arsenal player who scores the winning goal in the FA Cup final. Because it's been an awful season and no players really stood out. Son was okay at the beginning of the season. And he's
Usman, do you know you almost sound like Mourinho in his third
I
season.
swear to God, I was about to say that. I swear to God.
That's the thing, though. They were terrible under Poch. And, I mean, if I had to pick a player, I'd pick Lloris just because of his performances after the COVID break. Lloris has been exceptional over the past 8 games or so. Kane, another sort of, I guess. The thing with Kane is, right, he scored the goals this year, but like, this is going to sound like an awful thing to say, but if Spurs had the chance to sign Timo Werner and Ziyech and sell Kane, I would do the deal. I feel Kane has got to the stage where he's kind of injury prone. And he's still getting the goals, but you don't have the confidence in him getting the goals. Like a lot of his goals have come from like deflections or like poor defending this year, as opposed to like actual Harry Kane goals. So yeah, Lloris maybe, and in the young players, I think there's an obvious candidate in Tangana. Jaffet's come in and he's done pretty well. But we have a history of young central defenders coming in and doing well. And then we had this Austrian guy, I totally forgotten his name for some reason. A couple years ago.
Weimer.
Yeah. And then he went to Stoke and was awful. And then, God, I've forgotten so many of these past players' names, but this other guy actually played for Liverpool for a bit as well. He came in from Swansea. Bilkul main naam bhul gaya hoon, but
it was Klopp signing. Klopp signed him, and we were like,
he came in. He did really well for like 8 or 10 games, and everyone was like, "This is the guy." So Spurs actually have a long history of central defenders coming in, like looking the biz, and then like we actually have that with central defenders and with defensive midfielders. So Wilson Palacios, and then the guy we had from Brazil, like they come in, they're like a beast for a season, and then Southampton, the Kenyan guy Victor Wanyama, he was like phenomenal for one season, and then he just, I don't know what it is, I don't know what the club are feeding these guys, but these are two positions where we have people come in and they look amazing. So Jaffet, young player of the season, but ultimately it's about, he hasn't even played that much. He's played like 10 games or something. It's about next year. But overall, if you had to pick a player of the season, it's really tough because nobody's been consistent.
Usman, if you don't mind me asking you, Usman, if just a question in regards to Harry Kane, right? Like the way Harry Kane operates is that he's a target man. He links up play, or maybe he's a bit of a fox in the box, right? Do you feel that there is enough service to him from the wide players, especially looking at the wide players available like Lucas Moura, like Heung-min Son? Do you think they're natural crossers of the ball? And do you feel that the setup the club has at the moment like really serves as Harry Kane being the focal point of it? Do you think that's maybe is that a reason you feel that he's not performing, or is it just the player himself?
No, but I feel like with Kane, Yeah, we actually lack something in the wings. Like, even though we've got people like Son and Maurer, the problem with Son and Maurer is they're both kind of selfish. And you've seen that a lot this season with Kane getting like pretty frustrated with both of them. We've never had, or actually, we had two brilliant fullbacks in the first 2 years of the Poch era in Walker and Rose. And since then, we've really, fullback used to be like our strength. And now we've got Ben Davies, who's like an incredibly like defensive. He's actually a decent player, but he's not the guy to bomb forward and getting crosses. And then you've got like the Usman Buzdar of fullbacks in like Jana, Aurier, like that guy. That like, he does my head in. Honestly, even the other day, he was like 2 mistakes out of nowhere. Like that guy is just like a walking, disaster, and we really, really need to. The problem with the guy from Atlanta is I don't know how attacking he is.
Really attacking.
I watched him play a little bit, but not a lot. But I've heard like really good things about him. We bought in Bergwijn, but he's been playing kind of central since he's come in. So I do feel we need something on the wings. I felt we needed something on the wings. Do you know who I really, really, really wanted was Ziyech last summer? Yeah. He had a 25 million release clause, and I'm just amazed Arsenal didn't go in for him. I'm amazed Spurs didn't go in for him. Maybe they had the deal tied up with Chelsea. Maybe he wanted to have one more Champions League campaign with Ajax. But 25 million in this market for a player of his quality, it just baffles me that he didn't go last summer. And for me, he was my number one target last summer.
Ziyech is incredible. He can play on the flanks. He has the long pass range on him. He's just really good. He's gonna be really, really helpful towards players like Werner, Excel. He's gonna be really beneficial.
Yeah, I really rate him. I think he's a phenomenal player.
He really is. He really is.
All right, now to Liverpool finally, boys, champions.
Shahjahan, would you like to go first?
Yep, it's kind of contrary to what Man said. It's actually also very difficult for Liverpool, but for very different reasons. There've been so mane good, solid performances throughout the season. Honestly, and I know generally discussions mostly people talk about Henderson, Mane, Van Dijk, and Trent as well. But for me, no one really stands out. And Adin might disagree with me, but even for the PFA, player of the season, wala scene, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to De Bruyne, because he has been the standout player of the season. Pretty much like Salah was, a couple of years ago when City won the league. Because during the first half of the season, Mane was definitely the man who was carrying Liverpool. But for the past 2-3, even prior to the COVID break, Mane I wouldn't really say that Mane was the man. Other people stepped up. Salah stepped up latter half of the season as well, started scoring goals. I think he was way behind Mane, and then eventually he's now 2-3 goals ahead of him. So to me, no one really.
But I think Mane's been a really clutch player for Liverpool. I think he's got a lot of important goals. If I was to pick a player from Liverpool, it'd be Mane, because he just, every time I've seen them, he seems to be the one getting that crucial assist or that crucial goal.
I completely agree with you, especially during the first half. Aston Villa, springs to mind, the fact that he scored in the last minute, and so many other goals that he scored. Salah hasn't really had a lot of winners. I think there was a stat that Mane has scored 15 goals in the Premier League, which have contributed 18 points single-handedly. So that shows how important his goals have been, because like Usman pointed out, at a critical moment, Mane has stepped up. But I guess this is the drawback of being ahead of every other team. Itni jaldi, you kind of forget the importance of players like Mane. I myself, think about it. Yeah, Mane has a great. It's a great shout out for being the player of the season Liverpool ke liye bhi, and generally for the Premier League as well. But because most of the things have happened and Liverpool have blown away the team, so you don't really remember कि कोई इतना single-handedly someone has really performed that well. It has kind of been spread all over. Like Henderson himself, the matches that Henderson haven't played, I think we ended up losing points uske andar. So, but I wouldn't personally think that Henderson, maybe for Liverpool, Henderson has been great, but for the season itself, I'm kind of conservative. But even with Ballon d'Or, जो शाहरुख और हमाद ने last time La Liga के बारे में बात कर रहे थे कि Benzema has a shout out. Even though I don't follow too much, but जितना मैंने देखा है, I just don't think he could ever be in the contention for La Liga Player of the season. I know I'm digressing, just because Messi has been so good, overall. 46 direct goal contributions उस तरीके से. And similarly, De Bruyne for me has been that good this season कि वो kind of eclipses what Liverpool players have said. But coming back to the point, and I apologize, I've digressed a bit. For me, like Usman said, probably Mane would edge it, but it's difficult for me to just say one player because Van Dijk, the fact Van Dijk, even though he's made a couple of mistakes, but he has been, faultless for the first 32 matches. And just because wo lagta nahi he's doing a lot, but the fact that he shepherded the entire defense, that also counts for a lot. I know centre backs don't really get a lot of love generally. Trent himself, the fact that हमारी main जो creativity है वो 13 assists Trent ने दिए हैं, speaks volumes. So अगर the way we're doing it, young player of the season would be Trent, just because I don't think anyone else has played enough games or is younger than Trent. And generally, I guess Mane would just eclipse it for me.
Adil?
Yeah. For me, Liverpool season, I think a lot of people sometimes, I think the fact that we had 82 points in Feb, 80 points in February, right? End of Feb. I think people forget how good we were, and like just because the restart of the season and with the title being won, the players lacking a bit of, in regards to how important matches are, they're getting a bit slower. People forget how good they were, which is the obvious reason why they're, at this point in the season. For me, the best players under Klopp this season, again, it's a bit difficult to call, take a specific single name. If I had to, I could, say it's maybe, for me, Alisson maybe, because Alisson has been so clutch he had third highest clean sheets with half the season played. How good must that be? Like, is it Mohamed Salah who plays on the wings, as is in top 3 of the Golden Boot race? Is it Henderson who gels the midfield together? So just out of pure compassion, purely emotional reasons, and maybe of how good he's been, I'm going to go for player of the season as Trent, because he's this guy from Liverpool. He's literally 20 years old, and he has literally broken the assist record for a defender, his own record again. At the age of 20, if you're doing that, God bless you, man. And I hope injuries stay away. Not as a Liverpool fan, as a footballing fan, I'm excited to see what that guy can do later on. So I'm just going to go for Trent as the player of the season and young player of the season, because of what he does on the pitch. It's unlike any footballer at right back I've ever seen. We can take names like players like Philip Lahm, who were very intelligent defensively and played inward passes. We can look at Dani Alves, who used to, rampage down the flank, and Marcelo, who's the most gifted dribbler I've ever seen at fullback, right? Roberto Carlos, the free kick taker. Trent is just something a bit different, isn't he? Even if we look back yesterday, that cross to Firmino, Jesus Christ, yeah. If De Bruyne had done that was the assist of the season, wasn't it? That is a midfielder's dream and a striker's dream as well, that he gets to score. Literally, Firmino had to literally walk into it. That was in. And so, I don't know, Trent just does it for me, and the team's great, the man is great. So, but just because of the way he's played, what he's done, and who he is, I'm just going to go for Trent as our player of the season this year.
Sounds good. Hamad, यार वो Benzema Messi वाली jab जो शाहजहां ने दी है, do you want to respond to that, or should I take a?
I think दोबारा एक show पे बुलाएंगे. नहीं आपको.
नहीं चलें. We'll keep it for another time.
हम next proper show करेंगे इस पे. शाहजहां को सिर्फ हम इसलिए बुलाएंगे इस दिमाग के ऊपर.
Minor segment.
I think La Liga player of the season Benzema ही होगा, right?
Should be. I think he's had zero support. No
I think
Hazard,
so.
no Asensio, no Jovic.
I mean, Messi again has
अकेला
50.
लगा रहे.
Messi has 50 contributions, but Benzema won them the league, didn't he? I mean, obviously Zizou coming.
That's what has to count, right?
But then again, let's not talk about this abhi isme, but you had Ramos. I mean, lots of people were actually talking about कि Ramos बनता या वो बनता है आपका Benzema, and then Courtois. Shahrukh mentioned कि he has the highest number of saves in the top 5 leagues. So it's not just one, and Benzema has been amazing, but it's like the way I see it is कि classroom में एक बच्चा 100 points ले 100 marks ले और दूसरा बच्चा just because उसने पिछले साल 40 लिए थे इस साल वो 70 ले ले तो हम कहें यार ये तो player of the best बच्चा है classroom.
No, that's true.
I just think a player जो अब मेसी का contribution अब बात कर रहे हैं, he has 55% direct involvement in all of the Barca goals. 55%, not including जो build-up play के अंदर उसका हुआ है, जो अगर मैं वो वाले stats में देखे नहीं तो probably 75-80% तो goals जो हैं वो मेसी के through हैं. So then अगर हम talking about a person's contribution to a single team, तो then फिर आप
यार हमें जरूरत नहीं पड़ी ना हमारे 21 गोल स्कोरर थे, हमें जरूरत ही नहीं थी, जिसको कहते हो गोल जाके कर देता था, हमें जरूरत ही नहीं थी.
क्वालिटी ऑफ प्ले फिर तो भी मेसी बनता है. तो मुझे तो बेंजेमा तो ठीक है, इट्स लाइक Benzema for me is like Henderson को दे दो. I'm a Liverpool fan के Henderson has been great, he's done so much, तो आप Henderson को दे दो क्योंकि लीग ना जीत के हम 30 साल के बाद.
I'm sorry यार, Benzema बहुत अच्छा है यार. उस बंदे ने literally मतलब match winning goals मारे यार. I love Henderson as a fan.
Goal of the season, assist of the season.
अच्छा मुझे एक चीज याद आती है.
Without people like Griezmann and Suarez, to score those goals and to assist him as well. So
Griezmann के goals तो हम literally एक हाथ पर count कर सकते हैं. उसके goals मारे हैं.
Actually, अगर वो Real में होता, he would have been Real's second highest scorer, I think. I'm not sure, but I think.
जो कोर्टवा से एक बात याद आती है, I don't know, जब भी चेल्सी छोड़ के गया ना कोर्टवा, and Chelsea got in Kepa, तो मैं जब भी किसी चेल्सी फैन से पूछता हूँ यार कोर्टवा छोड़ के गया यार मुझे पसंद नहीं, मैंने कहा क्या हो यार, उसकी शक्ल नहीं ठीक यार, वो अजीब तरीके से देखता था सबको. क्या हो गया बेचारे को यार.
कौन सा चेल्सी फैन जो मिला
यार बड़े मुझे कहते हैं यार कोर्टवा की शक्ल नहीं ठीक. like what do you mean? What do you mean?
नहीं यार, Courtois was a big loss for us. उसका ये
बहुत heavy player है यार.
हमारा अच्छा नहीं गुजरा था, लेकिन he was already.
And do you know it could have gone the other way around? Perez actually wanted to sign Kepa for 70 million, and Zidane put his foot down. Zidane said no way, कोई चक्कर ही नहीं है, ठीक है, I'm sticking with Navas. Otherwise we could have been in the same situation.
I was like reading somewhere that Varane was like not playing, and Mourinho भी उससे निकला था. तो Zidane came to Mourinho with a DVD and went like, dude, watch him play and make him play. And after
Zidane signed him. Zidane is the one who scouted him out when he was 18 at Lens.
Jesus.
Yeah, मैं वैसे मुझे Zidane genuinely वो जो Champions League के run के बाद the way he's come back again यार, he signed no one this year. Lopetegui जो था उससे पहले एक और बंदा था, यही टीम थी, और Barca were going to get away with the league this year. पता नहीं क्या. Zizou is someone who is honestly speaking, he's underrated for me. यार Zidane has the footballing brain of someone I don't genuinely, and the way he uses his players, खुदाया. I used to have my doubts about Zidane. I'm not gonna lie. I was like यार अब ये वापस आ रहे हैं ना, अब ये players नहीं लेगा, देखना, he won't do as well. What?
And वो तो यार रोनाल्डो नहीं है, फारिग हो गई है टीम.
रोनाल्डो नहीं है, हाँ. अब रियल, that guy is, that Zidane is someone that we should look at more carefully, I think, in the future.
वापस शो पे आ जाते हैं. काफी गपशप.
Player of the year for Real, Zidane.
चलें अब लास्ट सेगमेंट की तरफ आते हैं. सो क्विक प्रेडिक्शंस अबाउट द नेक्स्ट सीजन. आई नो कि अभी हम वी आर फार फ्रॉम दैट और हमारी आगे काफी शोज पे बात होगी, बट जनरली अब क्या टारगेट है? सो विल स्टार्ट विद जमशेद बिकॉज़ उस्मान एंड अहमद हैड ऑलरेडी लेफ्ट. सो एंड वैसे भी अहमद ने बता दिया था दे आर कमिंग फॉर द टाइटल. Usman looked quite depressed, so I don't think they're coming for the title. What's your prediction, Jamshed?
We are not coming for a title. We are winning the title. Like, जीत गए हम अगला सीजन अभी से. तो या
ये बात ही खत्म कर दी. लिवरपूल बॉयज क्या करना है फिर?
Fighting words.
Would you like to go first, Ajay?
हाँ, आप लोगों को पता है कि मैं कितना पेसिमिस्टिक फुटबॉल फैन हूँ, और तो मैं तो अपनी एक्सपेक्टेशंस हमेशा लो रखूंगा और मैं जिंक्स नहीं करना चाहता. तो आई एक्चुअली थिंक सिटी विल प्रोबेबली विन इट नेक्स्ट ईयर, provided ke, I mean, with all probability, Pep will stay, and they will buy players in the summer. And I think ये थोड़ा सा off season था उनका, but yeah, I think it's City, for me City are favorites, and Liverpool will give them a run for their money. तो top 2 मैं वही समझता हूँ कि इनके ही बीच में होगी. I think Chelsea I think would probably do a bit better than Man U. फिर मेरे ख्याल है ओले का जो है, he will be found out next year सही तरह. इस साल भी कोई उसने, just because बाकी टीम्स इतना अच्छा नहीं कर रही थी, तो पता नहीं कैसे चैंपियंस लीग में पहुंच गए. But next year I think हाँ अभी नहीं पहुंचे. I hope Brendan Rodgers कुछ कर ले.
Like I was reading if Man United need 2 points to qualify, but something like 3 points to like lose. If they don't get 3 points, they won't qualify. But if they get 2 points, they will qualify. ये कुछ इस तरह के अजीब स्टार्ट भी थे. ये 2 मैचेस पहले थे. So yeah, I hope Leicester जीते.
लेकिन आई थिंक आपकी जो है मेनली यही 2 टीम्स वही रहेंगी. सॉरी जमशेद. And Chelsea will probably, Chelsea will definitely should qualify the Champions League. And वो जैसे इस साल था, early on the season they were very close, but eventually वो जो gap था started widening. So I think next year भी यही होएगा. But they will probably comfortably make it to the top 4, or should definitely make it. इतनी ज़्यादा investment माशाल्लाह कर ली है, top 4 तो बनता है.
बनेगा इंशाल्लाह. Champions.
आदिल, आप भी इतने पेसिमिस्टिक हैं. मुझे पता है कि शाहजहां सीक्रेटली होप कर रहा है कि मैं सिटी का नाम ले रहा हूं, बट लिवरपूल जीत जाएगा. लेकिन आपकी क्या प्रेडिक्शन है?
I think अगर अगले साल मैन सिटी लीग ना जीती, midway मतलब during the season Pep Guardiola will explode and come out as an alien, और हमें पता चलेगा वो इंसान नहीं है. वो clearly एक अजीब सी मशीन थी जिसको हर चीज को अच्छा नहीं. I personally feel like in regards to the title, yeah, I think it's going to be City. I think Pep, it's what we've done is outstanding with the model Liverpool have done. It's outstanding, but I think Pep Guardiola as a manager, with what's available to him, that's the perfect deal. That's the perfect package. So they are favorites for me. In the top 4, I'm not going to say Chelsea or United. I'm going to say Liverpool, and then I'm going to give you a strange name that hasn't been mentioned today. Arsenal FC. I think Arsenal, and I know this might backfire in the worst way possible. I know. I'm taking this risk. Man United and Chelsea, there will be one of the big names, But I think again, saying that it's going to be very clutch for either Lampard and Solskjaer, with the amount of spending United and Chelsea have been doing. If they don't make it to the top 4, it could be problematic in terms of their jobs at the clubs. Personally, I feel. But Arsenal FC under Arteta, I think that guy has a plan. It's more visible to me. If I look at the way Arteta manages the club, the way he uses his players, the way his mind works, I like it. I think personally, it's City for me is going to win the league, but the top 4 will have, for me, City, LFC, and Arsenal. 4th, I don't know, or 3rd, I don't know who it's going to be, but yeah, I'm going to put Arsenal in my top 4 definitely. And I think it's an interesting pick as well. I like the fact that I'm going for Arsenal. I definitely believe Arteta is someone who might have a bright future, and I don't know, I just really like the guy.
इस टाइम तुम सिर्फ अपने आप को कन्विंस कर रहे हो. मतलब you have said it
Exactly.
multiple
Yeah,
times. You're just convincing
ये
yourself.
वही बात है कि मैं कहूँ कि ग्रेनाडा 3rd आएगा लीगा में के साथ.
No, it's like I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but like they beat City like a week ago or something, and like Pep was like the interview asked Pep ke, it seems like Arteta learned a lot at Man City, and Pep was like, maybe we learned from him. I don't know, man. I just really like the way he operates. He beat another big club recently. He beat us, I think. Arsenal beat us.
Yeah,
they did, right?
वो tactical तो कुछ भी नहीं था, genius तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. वो जैसे शाहरुख ने कहा था, वो
hangover players.
तो
hello, it's still I don't know, man.
I think that's an interesting shout out, but I actually think Leicester Arsenal से ऊपर आएगा अगले season. It could be 4, it could be 7th, but Arsenal बेचारा मुझे लगता है
आर्सेनल अभी 9th है या 11th है,
8 9 हैं तो just because you're right about Arteta, but I just think there's too much investment that needs to be done, and I don't know if Arsenal will invest that heavily. Although Aubameyang को एक और contract दे दें तो बड़ी बात है वो.
Plus, I don't know with no European football if any player would be attracted to Arsenal as well. Right?
Yeah, and Arsenal aren't as big a brand as United that they could attract players without even European football. United तो brand ही इतना बड़ा है, definitely.
With no European football, probably आदिल के prediction सही हो सकती है कि Arsenal top 4 में आ सकता है, क्योंकि European football does make a big factor किस fatigue पे एक टीम की, तो और concentration पे के फिर concentration करने लीग के पर, लेकिन नहीं आएगी ये तो पता है.
But not with David Luiz as your central defender.
देखिए David Luiz के साथ 18 points तो उसने single handedly lose कर दिए हैं.
यार मुझे डेविड लुइस लिवरपूल में चाहिए जस्ट फॉर द बैंटर यार. वो एक कैरेक्टर है, वो बस सर फाड़ने आता है, इनसेन आदमी है यार, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है ये.
चलिए आई थिंक इसी नोट पे इसका जो है शो का इख्तिताम करते हैं. थैंक यू फॉर जॉइनिंग अस, और काफी मजे की गपशप रही. उस्मान और अहमद का भी शुक्रिया जो कि हमारे पहले जा चुके हैं छोड़ के, बट लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू द नेक्स्ट सीजन एंड इंशाल्लाह आप लोगों को दोबारा बुलाएंगे और द गपशप विल कंटिन्यू.
Okay, thank you for having us. Thank you, Shahrukh bhai.